Building towns in games can be quite fulfilling. There's a feeling of accomplishment when you see a barren land turn into a sprawling city. It satisfies the god complex that hides in all of us. Choosing which building to place and at what point usually opens up new gameplay possibilities. It changes the flow of income and resources, ultimately making your town more profitable. But it usually comes at a cost, like balancing people's wealth with efficiency and profit. For a game where you rule a town like you do in Mistwinter Bay, being able to see and expand the town in some ways feels like a no-brainer. And that's why I'll be talking about the creation of Mistwinter Bay's town view in this video. But first, hello, I'm LevUnknown, an indie game developer. I've created amazing games like this, and this, and this. Oh, and this one. I probably should have mentioned this one first. Jokes aside, I guess you could call me the driving force behind Mistwinter Bay. Besides the character and background art that my sister makes, I made everything else for the game. So, the town view. This beautiful piece of art was fully drawn by me during a course in school. I had already started working on the game at that point, and the course was a do what you want sort of thing, so I thought I might as well create the town view. I set up a minor and major goal for what I wanted to do. It basically looked like this. Create everything for the demo and create everything for the entire game. Lucky for future me, I managed to create everything. Yes, you heard me right. Everything that's needed for the town view in a full game is already complete. I probably deserve an applause for that. Then how did I manage to complete everything? First of all, I spent almost 200 hours on it, so that's an important factor. Secondly, I had planned out everything beforehand. Every building was decided a long time ago, so all I had to do was draw them. This also means that every character has already been conceptually created, so you can be excited about that too. But no spoilers on buildings and characters yet. Anyhow, as everyone who has ever done any sort of creative work on a large scale knows, knowing what direction to go in is very important. In other words, plan ahead. Okay, with that life lesson out of the way, let's get into the details of how I created the town view. I started off by mapping out the approximate layout of the town in a hand-drawn sketch. Then I put together some mood boards for major buildings, like the villa and the Valorist buildings. I also made a mood board for seasons, to have an easy reference point to determine what makes the seasons different from each other. This is pretty important since the game has 4 seasons that need to be immediately visually clear. Then I made a more proper sketch digitally. This is the layout that is used in the game. Do you see this little guy? He may be small and a bit wonky, but he's very important. He's the reference to ensure that the scale is uniform throughout the town. I used him as a reference for all buildings. Besides this little guy, I had one other tool to help me make the town view uniform, a color scheme. I decided on colors for line art, light and shadow, how many layers of shading and lighting there should be, and so on. I also had the specific colors for wood and things that I reused between all the buildings. It's worth mentioning that all the lighting and such that can be seen in the game is drawn directly on the building sprite and background. This means that there is no lighting provided by the game engine, unlike in 3D engines like Unity and Unreal. I also made specific rules for each season. By that I mean I gave specific colors to trees and grass, and even lighting depending on the season. Spring and summer both have a lot of green, but the lighting can be seen as a bit more yellow in summer, which is why I swapped the blue light used for all other seasons to yellow light in summer. Autumn got fallen leaves everywhere. I even made my first ever custom brush for leaves. Impressive, right? And winter got snow. Lots of snow everywhere. I think winter is my favorite season since it has the cozy feeling I was going for, thanks to the snow and lights. With all those tools and rules, I started working on the actual assets. I created the spring background and all its trees and small natural decor first, so that I could get the scale of the buildings right. I also made the animated river and sea. The river is the only thing in the game that uses a tile set, if anyone wondered. Then I drew the buildings. I made 4 versions of a building, one for each season, before going on to the next building. Work got pretty fast after a while since I had put up so many guidelines from the beginning. Still, there were a lot of buildings and things to draw. A lot. With all the buildings done, I moved on to create the background for the different seasons. This was a pretty painstaking process of replacing every tree and stone and bush with one for the right season. Because of course I had pre-made all of those things as separate sprites that I had to copy-paste in. You may ask, why not use them as a tile set? Well, that's because I don't like tile sets. Just kidding. but at the same time not. I wanted a more organic feel to the background, which tilesets don't provide. Also, there's extra light and shading on top of the entire background to give it more depth, which means generalized tiles wouldn't fit the hand-drawn lighting. With all this done, I made sure that all the buildings were placed correctly in the game engine and that it was possible to build them. Yep, I worked on the build mechanic at the same time as I drew everything. It was great for my sanity and stress levels. As a final flourish, I made some weather particle effects. Every time you enter the town view in game, the weather is randomized based on the season. It can't snow in summer, but summer is the only time when there are visible sun rays, and so on. Here's a list of which season can have which weather and how likely it is, if you're interested. Just pause the video if you want to read it. Or rewatch the video from the start, that would be good for the algorithm. And while you're at it, make sure to like the video, comment on which is your favorite season, and subscribe for more insights into how we make Mistwinter Bay. And hey, don't forget to play the demo when it's out. Maybe it already is. Check the link in the description and you'll see. That's all for now. I hope to see you next time.